been a long time since a war film of this scale has been made in Australia. Danger Close is a dramatic recreation of the Battle of Long Tan that occurred in Vietnam in 1966. It was one of the major first engagements that Australian forces were involved with. It's a very important story to be telling, and the way in which we tell that story is very important. Part of that is the creation of those environments and those stages where these guys exist and where they live and die, essentially. I'd worked with Creve Stenders, the director, before, and I'd seen the documentary that Martin Walsh had produced a few years ago, so I was quite aware of just what a remarkable story it is. And what was interesting about this film is that it really centred on a bunch of very young guys, many of them who were drafted into that service, existing a long way from home and being made to live in pretty hardcore Spartan conditions. Quite a scary kind of experience for a lot of those guys to have gone through.
Gotcha. Fire mission battery, bearing 1910.
Range 2905.
Bearing 1910, range 2905. Hey! Have some of this, you bastards! Fire!
It's really a very broad universe that we have to create. So it ranges from vehicles to the set construction to armoury, but also just it's a major contribution to the tone of the piece as well. It's not just sort of the technical aspect of art direction, but the artistic side of how to express that world. There are a bunch of different problems that we had to solve. Firstly, both the Australian base, which was called Nui Dat, and the battle existed in rubber plantations, which don't exist in Australia. We had to sort of use Polonia plantations. There's a couple that exist that we could use in Kingaroy and actually near the Gold Coast as well. They were our foundation stage that we built from, so we had to build the Nui Dat base in one of those plantations, and then a lot of the battle sequences were shot in Kingaroy. The amount of greens work that we had to put into the film was pretty substantial. A lot of bringing banana palms in, a lot of maintaining the sets as we're filming. One of the really key parts of the film was creating an artillery battery with blank firing howitzers. There's a huge amount of work that goes on that you're not really aware of with exteriors.
Get me up to speed, Colonel.
Sir, Delta Company is here, about 5 kilometres away in the rubber. 11 platoon are 400 metres forward of the rest of the company, and they're pinned down and they're taking casualties. A 10 platoon is here, and they're trying to get to 11.
There's actually a much more conceptual collaboration that takes place, which is why we're making this film and what's the kind of emotional content of that piece. Getting into the nitty-gritty of what that world is and making sure that it's authentic as much as possible, because there's a lot of people who are very invested in a film like this. They're really going to look out for things that they know to be true or false. So a lot of it's about, as far as we can go with creating a dramatic world, it needs to feel real. The foundation of that is just a lot of research and a lot of work. The other thing that was really amazing on Danger Close was recent vets of Afghanistan and Iraq were involved as volunteers. A lot of the sandbagging that was done in the film to create the base and the artillery was done by guys who were sort of passionate about the project and were able to give their time, so it made a huge difference to our budget. Many of those guys ended up as extras on the production, so they brought that realism and that actual life experience into the film. So it was very much appreciated and essential to the overall project.
Maybe Nolene's there.
Who's Nolene?
Fiancé.
Getting married, huh?
I just want to get out of here and go home, get married, and forget all this.
Look, I just hope that people go and sort of appreciate just what those young guys actually went through and consider that kind of service. It's a film that's not about glamorizing war. It's really about commemorating the service that people on both sides of that conflict gave. It's just really good for us all to just reflect on what war is and what that actually means. So I'm hoping it has that effect.